Welcome to Flatline. To all the true crime junkies, this one's for you. Join me as we unfold different true crime cases that have taken place all over and listen to a story that ends in the most deadliest and tragic ways. Hey guys, it's Ronnie. Welcome back to another episode of Flatline. I know it's either the first or second week of February when I'm uploading this, but still, Happy New Year and welcome to 2025. I'm so excited to be back. I know it's been a long while since I last uploaded, but to keep everything short and simple, I just had a lot going on back to back since my last upload, and I finally had the time to sit down today and record this episode for you guys. I'm so excited for 2025, and we're back and ready to start delving back into true crime. Today, we are discussing a story that was discovered by my mom. Shout out to my mom, even though she's never gonna listen to this. But it's about a Bengali family whose son ended up killing everyone due to living a secret double life. When I was reading about this case, I knew what this person was feeling and going through. But also, the reasoning is just so stupid. Like, there were so many ways this situation could have been handled, and murder was definitely not the one. Before we start today's episode, please make sure to hit the follow button so you don't miss out on future episodes and give it a good rating and review. Also, in my information box, I have all my socials, including the one for this podcast, so please feel free to follow and support me there. As always, we are going to start off talking about the victims and who they were before everything occurred. So without further ado, let's get on to today's case. In the late 1980s, an arranged couple named Menhaz and Momotaz migrated to Canada from Bangladesh to live a better life for themselves and their future kids. In Toronto, 1996, they welcomed their son, Menhaz, and 2 years later, they welcomed their daughter, Melissa. Menhaz worked as a taxi driver and used his earnings to buy a home for them in Scarborough, while Momotaz managed the rental properties that the family rented out there. Due to the long work hours, the couple needed help taking care of their kids, so they decided to bring Momotaz's mother, Firoza, to the States to help them out. In 2006, Menhaz decided to purchase a 2-story home for his family in Markham. Menhaz and Momotaz were very proud of their roots, and they wanted their kids to respect and embrace their culture. They also taught the kids how important family and having a strong work ethic is, and that education and hard work were the foundations of success. As typical Desi standards, they wanted their kids to pursue in specific fields. Momotaz wanted her son to become an engineer, and her daughter wanted to become a neurosurgeon. So I'm going to add my 2 cents a little bit. This is also very typical in the Asian community. As a Bengali myself, this is something I could 100% relate to. Growing up, my parents also had the same hopes and dreams for me and my sister. They wanted us to go into the medical field, and with that, my sister and I felt the pressure of doing great in order to live this happy and successful life and to not disappoint our parents, especially knowing that this is not the path we wanted to pursue. Luckily, our parents understood that we didn't want to go through this route for our future, and they supported us with whatever we chose. But it really wasn't easy to get to this place we are now. But this family was no happy-go-lucky family that everyone thought and knew. Behind the scenes, they were going through a lot, especially when it came to Menhaz's sister, Melissa. Out of the 2 siblings, Melissa was the rebel one. Even though she was known as a great student, she did a lot of things that brought problems between being your everyday teenager and the traditional values the family had. Like, she got suspended from school for flipping off her teacher and drinking vodka and smoking weed with her friends. First of all, I don't know how she and other people drink vodka straight. Like, that shit is nasty. Like, it literally feels like I'm drinking nail polish remover. Ugh. Just thinking about it is making me want to gag. Melissa was also exploring her sexuality, which caused a lot of tension between her mother and her. This information was not shocking to me because, speaking specifically on the elders in the Asian community, this is still a hard topic in reality to grasp, especially with the way they were taught and grown up. There were a lot of fights that would happen in the house, especially between Melissa, Momotaz, and Munrez. The fights between Melissa and Munrez were really bad. So bad that there were times their neighbors called the police on them and times where it even got physical. And you're probably wondering where Menhaz was in all of this and how it affected him. Well, Menhaz would only intervene if it was his sister and mother fighting, but if it was his sister and dad fighting, then he wouldn't, and would just go instead upstairs to his room, put his headphones on, and play video games. Alright, now let's talk about Menhaz. Menhaz was known as a dutiful, shy, and softly spoken kid. He was the favorite child of his parents, especially his mom, who just cherished him so much. In the Peacock documentary about this case, his uncle stated Menhaz was a nice and loving boy who always took care of his whole family. According to Menhaz's friends, they described him as your average Markham kid who was always home either helping his family, going to the mosque with his dad, or held up in his room playing video games. And his neighbors, they described Menhaz as the golden child. I didn't find anything about his past school life, but I'm assuming he was a great student because he got accepted to a mechanical engineering program in York University, which is a top-ranked international teaching and research university in Toronto. But he never went and studied there. Instead, he attended a local college called Seneca College and enrolled in an electronics engineering program, which he failed all his classes. He was given a chance to retake them, but he decided to drop out altogether. But here's where a problem starts to arise. Menhaz couldn't tell his parents. Trust me, I get it. No one ever wants to be in a position where they have to tell their parents they dropped out of college. But it's better to just rip off the band-aid and heal together than let the wound fluster into something nasty. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know why I used that as an example, but we're just gonna go with it and continue. So what did Menhaz decide to do? Well, he decided to make a plan which went on for years. 4 years to be exact, of him leaving the house every day with his backpack and laptop, pretending he was going to campus so his parents wouldn't suspect a thing. While his parents thought that their beloved son was working so hard every day to finish and get that degree, he was actually spending his time either going all the way to campus to find a place to play his video games, go to the mall, or the gym. He even took it up a notch by lying to his parents that he had a full scholarship and that he earned excellent grades. Like, why are you adding more fuel to the fire? A fire that shouldn't have even started in the first place. So as Menhaz continued this facade, he spent days playing all sorts of video games. He discovered a new game, a 3D multiplayer role-playing game called Perfect World, which later became a modified version that was a player versus player combat on a server called Void. Menhaz really loved the game, and he quickly started making friends with the people he would play with. He even told one of the players how grateful he was that he had made friends that he could talk to. Day by day, Menhaz's obsession with the game grew and grew. He had created a virtual life for himself, a life where he wasn't a failure and where he wasn't alone. But this obsession was also causing Menhaz to become more and more reserved from his family. The obsession was so bad that his game friends noticed that when they were logging out to go to sleep, Menhaz was still playing. And when they logged back on the next morning, he was still there playing. The game not only pushed him further away from his family, but it was also changing Menhaz. At first, he tried to be the funny guy, but later he started to enjoy making people mad in the chat room, essentially becoming a troll, and over time his jokes just got darker and darker. He started posting racist comments in the game chat, which were heavily targeted towards Muslim immigrants, which then made him think and feel negatively towards his Islamic religion, to where he started to identify himself as an atheist online. I know over time, a lot of people who grow up with a religious background grow out of it when they get older and become an atheist, which is fine, to each their own. But I really don't think it's right or okay to look so negatively into a religion you were in, or any other religion for that matter, and start saying horrible racist comments about it. You're probably thinking that, well, this guy should definitely get banned from the game. Well, guess what? He didn't just get banned once, but multiple times. Each of those bans were only temporary bans. So when Menhaz would get out of his temporary bans, he would just carry on like nothing even happened. And no, after all of those bans, it didn't stop him from doing what he was doing. I really don't know why they didn't ban him permanently. I really don't know, but they should have. Even though Menhaz was being an ass, he was really enjoying his virtual life. But as each year went by, the thought of his family finding out that him going to college was a lie was weighing on him more and more. He knew that his parents would never forgive him for this, so he started to think of ways to get out of this mess. And unfortunately, his fantasizing went to the dark side. In 2016, Menhaz started fantasizing about killing his family and spent the next 3 years planning out their murders. He was so serious about this decision that he struck up a conversation with one of his game friends and told them that he was thinking of leaving the game because he, quote unquote, will be going to jail because he's going to kill his parents. Menhaz's friend dismissed the comment he made due to not believing him and because he usually just makes horrible comments in the game chat anyways. But sadly, this friend was going to regret dismissing his comment. By summer 2019, Menhaz knew he was running out of time. His parents were finally going to find out the truth about what really has been going on. So he decided to take action on the idea of killing his family. So I don't know when Menhaz found out about his graduation date, but he took this information and let his parents know that on July 28th, he'll be graduating and that he was also planning on pursuing a master's degree after. But really, his plan was just to tell them this lie and kill them before July 28th even came around. So they wouldn't find out his secret, but also to not be ashamed of him. What makes things even worse and just pisses me off is that during his parents' 25th anniversary that happened just weeks before the murders, he goes and tells his cousin, who is starting in York University in fall, that they'll be in uni together since he's going back for his master's. Like, why the fuck are you telling more people about this lie? Like, are you trying to have more people know so your parents don't doubt that you're going to uni this whole time? But also, if you're planning on killing them before even graduating with your bachelor's, what was the reason to tell your cousin? Because if you're really planning on killing your parents, they're going to find out and it's going to be obvious that you're not going for your master's. So I don't know what the point was of that, but that's what he told his cousin. And now this is where Menhaz's family murders unfold. During this part of the story, we have a lot of people that will be brought up. I will try my best to not make it confusing or overwhelming, so please bear with me. On July 27th, one day before his so-called graduation day, Menhaz was home with his mom and grandma while his dad and sister were at work. While Menhaz was in his room plotting how he was going to do this, down the hall in the other rooms, his mom and grandma were taking an afternoon nap. Around 3 p.m., Menhaz went into his mom's room where he hit her in the head with a crowbar and then slit her throat using one of their kitchen knives. And for some reason, right after killing his mother, Menhaz decided to get on the Void Gaming group chat on Discord. For those of you who don't know what Discord is, it's basically an app that lets you communicate with each other through text, voice, and video. And he messaged the group saying, quote, "Today is the day I'm going to do it." After seeing the message from Menhaz, no one knew what to say to that, since they didn't really know what was going on or what exactly he was talking about. But a few seconds later, Menhaz sends the group a picture of his mother's bloody corpse saying, "This is my mom." Just imagine like having a normal day of playing your video games when all of a sudden one of your game friends sends a message to your group chat of his dead mother's body. Bitch, I would be freaking out and in shock. And it's just sick for you to send people something horrifying like that. One of the players in the group chat, named John from Egypt, commented on the photo asking if this was a prank. And if it was, we wouldn't be talking about this case today. Due to the picture posted by Menhaz in the chat, the group chat was blowing up to where it caught other players' attentions that were not even active in the chat. Unfortunately, they had no idea what they were walking into. Another player named Alex from Belgium commented that Menhaz was pranking them, since usually Menhaz is always playing around and saying stupid things in the chat. Menhaz did respond to Alex, commenting saying it was, which I really don't know or understand why he said it, but he said it. Anyone who pranks people about stuff like this is just sick and needs to get therapy. Like, honestly. While the chat was blowing up about how fucked up it was for Menhaz to send a prank message like that because it really wasn't funny, Menhaz then went on to continue his murder rampage and went to the room his grandma was sleeping in and killed her the same way he killed his mother. And mind you, this all happened in the span of an hour after killing his mother. As the group was conversating with each other, all of a sudden they got another message from Menhaz, and it was another picture, but this time it was his grandma. Again, some people were still questioning if this was a prank, and others were trying to figure out if it was really real or not. A few members of the group decided to talk amongst themselves to figure out if this was real or fake, and those people in the group were Nicole from North Carolina, John from Egypt, Maroon from Israel, Adrian from Romania, Alex from Belgium, and Austin from Texas. Okay, so to not make the rest of this story confusing, because there's going to be 2 chats from this point on, we're going to call the chat with Menhaz the Menhaz chat, and the one with the few members is going to be called the members chat. This way we don't get confused. In the members chat, John let the group know that he was very adamant on the pictures being real. So he asked Nicole if she thought the pictures were real and what kind of wounds do the victims have in the pictures Menhaz sent them, since Nicole was studying in the criminal justice major and had taken forensics courses. From her knowledge, Nicole determined that the lacerations inflicted on the victims were caused with a knife. And due to the amount of blood in the pictures, Nicole knew that these pictures were real, but just to make sure, she took it upon herself and did a Google reverse image search, which I gotta say was a smart move, to see if it was fake or real. And each search she did proved more and more that she and John were right. The members chat decided that they needed to do something, like calling the police. But they didn't know how they were going to convince the police that this situation was real. And the only information that they had was Menhaz's name, but they didn't know if Menhaz was really his name or not. The group looked left and right on social media platforms to see if Menhaz had any accounts, but they found nothing. Regardless, Austin decided to call the local police in Texas and tell them what was going on. The police dismissed his plea for help because they heard video game and hung up on him. Some of you guys may be questioning, why did they hang up on him when they heard video game? Well, that's because a lot of police officers had calls about things happening on video games and they were either pranks or not serious. Either way, to me, it should always matter, even if it's about something happening within a video game site. Each 911 call should always be taken seriously. After getting no help from the police, the group in the members chat decided they needed to involve people from the game that knew Menhaz better than them. And the only person that came in mind was Junior from Costa Rica. Junior was Menhaz's best friend in the game. And once Junior was added to the chat and he caught up with all the messages, he also thought Menhaz was joking around. The group asked Junior to talk to Menhaz and see what was going on and if he really was pranking them. So he did. And to his disbelief, Junior found out that Menhaz really did do it and was getting ready to do the same thing to his dad and sister. After hearing this, the group decided to take things in their own hands. Yes, they knew his first name, but they needed more. So each of the members went to their private chats with Menhaz, or any chats they had that Menhaz was part of, to see if he left any quote-unquote clues about himself. They found that Menhaz definitely lived in the States, and that whenever he had mentioned the time and where he lived, it was always in the Eastern time zone. But he also would send messages saying that he either lived in Canada or Brazil, which made the group question the time zone they thought he could be in. The group then realized that they might be able to get his IP address through Void. So for those who don't know what an IP address is, and honestly, I didn't know this either until I was doing the research for this case, but basically an IP address is a unique number that is assigned to every device that is connected to the internet. The only ones that were able to have access to it were Maroon and Austin, since they were part of the administrative side to the Perfect World website. Austin asks Junior to keep talking to Menhaz so they can stay up to date on what's going on and what he may do next. So Austin was able to find Menhaz's last logged in IP address through the Void database. But unfortunately, the only information that they were going to get out of the IP address was an approximate location that the device was connected to, which is still something. And they found that the IP address was located in Toronto. And what was Menhaz doing while all of this was going on? This boy was taking naps and playing video games in order to pass time for his sister and dad to come home. How the hell can you sit in front of a screen playing video games, knowing that you have two family members' dead bodies in the other room and that your sister and dad are next? That is just so disgusting and downright insane to think what you did wasn't that big of a deal that you can just go and sleep and play video games. But since Menhaz was playing the game, Austin realized that he could get Menhaz's current IP address. And lo and behold, he found an address. But it wasn't an address to a home. It was an address to a residential building. And while all of this was happening, Menhaz sends Junior a message saying that his sister will be home in 5 minutes, and she's next. So obviously the group was panicking and trying to find a solution to end this, and fast. Austin looked up the address to see if there was any phone number they can call and let them know that one of their residents has killed 2 people and is going to kill more. He posted the number in the chat, and Nicole decided to be the one to call, but no one was picking up. She reached the voicemail message and found out that the number was Menhaz's internet provider. And then all of a sudden, they get a message in the Menhaz chat from Menhaz saying, BRB, and then logs out. When the group read that message, they knew it was too late and they couldn't save Menhaz's sister Melissa on time. As they waited, Menhaz finally came back online and told them that he killed his sister, saying, quote, my sister just came home. It was a tough battle. She's a trooper. Melissa was killed around 11 p.m., the same exact way as her mother and grandma. Even though they couldn't save the sister, they were actively trying to get information from Menhaz so that they could have it for the police. John sent Menhaz a message asking him to send a picture of his sister, which Menhaz did. And this kid had the audacity to ask John that you won't snitch on me, right, if I do? Bitch, what the fuck do you think they're gonna do after seeing all of that you've done? Just sit there? Wake up. Oh, and after he sent the picture of his dead sister, this boy apologized for the room that his dead sister was in for being messy. Yeah, he showed emotion on the room being messy, but not for what he just did to his sister. Unfucking believable. And honey, it doesn't end there. Menhaz then sends the group a message saying his sister fought for 10 minutes and all she did was cry, but the job needed to be done. Dude, that's your fucking sister that you just killed. and you're literally making fun of what she did while you were murdering her? Seriously? Then he states that his dad is the last one left and he'll be home in an hour. So John told the members of the group chat everything that happened with his chat with Menhaz, and the group decided to get help as fast as they can before Menhaz's dad comes home. So John had the idea to continue messaging Menhaz to get more information, since John was the first person to talk to Menhaz when this all started, and he figured that probably Menhaz trusted him a little bit more than the rest of the group to share more information with. So John asked Menhaz to send a picture of the weapon or weapons he used to see if Menhaz used anything that was traceable. And Menhaz did. Menhaz sent a picture of the crowbar and the knife he used that was just all covered in blood. John then asked Menhaz what he looked like right now, and Menhaz sent him a selfie. But it wasn't just a selfie of him. It was a selfie of him holding the bloody knife next to his face. There was no remorse on his face, and clearly holding that knife in the selfie was like a sense of pride for him, that he accomplished what he wanted to do. Menhaz then tells John that after he is done with his dad, he's going to send his entire friends list pictures of what he has done, and that he also called his dad, and his dad is now just 30 minutes away from coming home. At this point, the group and John decided that they had to stop Menhaz from doing this. So John asked him questions in order to make Menhaz question what he was doing was wrong, and he should stop. But Menhaz wasn't budging. Menhaz somehow found out that John was sharing the pictures of the murder with other players, and he told John that he knew, and then just stopped replying. Menhaz then decided to video call Austin. And when he answered, he saw that Menhaz had no emotion in his face. Menhaz then proceeded to basically brag to Austin about what he has done and showed the dead bodies, all the blood, and all the weapons he used with so much pride. Austin tried to talk to Menhaz and tell him that what he was doing wasn't right and that he should stop. But Menhaz, he didn't listen. He just ignored it. He then showed Austin the crowbar and tells Austin his plan on what he's going to do to his father, which is that he's going to hide behind the door, and once his dad walks in, he'll hit him in the head until he passes out and then slit his throat. Yeah. And then he proceeds to tell Austin that he was nervous because if his dad catches him behind the door before he's able to hit him, then it's all over and he won't be able to complete his spree. Austin then asked why is he doing this, and Menhaz says he can't explain and then hangs up. At this point, it officially hit the hour mark and no one was hearing from Menhaz anymore. Everyone started literally freaking out. John was sending messages to Menhaz non-stop, but he wasn't getting any reply. Finally, they got a response. And it was another picture. A picture of his dead dad. The group felt this immense amount of guilt. That after everything, they couldn't stop Menhaz. That they couldn't save the last person. The group then decided to contact all the players that played from the US or Canada to get them to contact the police and catch Menhaz. Austin sent an emergency message to all the players requesting them to contact him if they lived in Canada. Someone, I don't remember if it was another player or if it was someone from the group chat, but they remembered a player from the game named Dante who was from Minnesota, and they remembered he was also friends with Menhaz. So they decided to call him and tell him the situation. Dante then called his local police in Minnesota, and the police department was able to give him the number to the Toronto Police Department. With the little information that they did have on Menhaz, Dante was able to tell that to the Toronto Police Department, and they told him that they will do the best that they can to find him. The Toronto Police Department first started their search by contacting Discord asking for Menhaz's IP and or internet information. After hours and hours of waiting, Discord finally responds to the message from Toronto PD, where they send them the IP address, which was the internet company that Menhaz was using, called Rogers. The police then contacted Rogers, and they were able to get Menhaz's address. The police were then dispatched to Menhaz's address, and once they got there, they saw a male standing by the upstairs window and told him to come down. Before heading down, Menhaz sends a message to John saying the police were here. When Menhaz opened the door, the police told him that they were doing a welfare check to see if there had been any criminal activity going on. While speaking to Menhaz, they saw that Menhaz was emotionless and was not like your typical murder suspects. As Menhaz is getting detained, the police officer asked him who lived here and where are they? And Menhaz responded that he lived with his family and they will see for themselves where they are. One of the officers went upstairs and found the dead bodies of the 4 family members. Menhaz was immediately taken into custody, and immediately after that, the internet was flooding with articles about the incident. And one of the players messaged the group with one of the articles saying it was finally over. The group was relieved, but they were also very sad that this all even happened. So I want to take a second and commend all of the people in the group chat. Despite not being able to save the family members, they all came together and did all the right things to try and stop this massacre from happening. I want to commend them on staying strong and fighting together to end this despite all that they have heard and witnessed from this horrible tragedy. After Menhaz's arrest, a lot of people that were in the group chat decided to look back at their messages with Menhaz, and they found that Menhaz was dropping hints of doing something before the day even came. In 2015, Menhaz messaged Alex from Belgium saying he had a secret that he wanted to share with him. And that secret was, quote, "I'm killing my entire family next April." Alex even screenshotted the message and sent it to Austin from Texas, but they thought that Menhaz was just joking and messing around with them. And then in 2018, a year before the murders, he would message some of the members saying that he was going to miss them when he was in jail, or for, quote, "killing my dad, mom, grandma, and sister and going to jail for life." But no one took Menhaz's comments seriously due to him always trolling around and saying stupid stuff all the time. During the interrogation and processing at the station, every question that Menhaz was asked by the officer, Menhaz decided to remain silent. He didn't tell his motives, how he felt during the killings, nothing. He just kept telling the officers he wanted to remain silent. But if they asked questions about if he was the one who did the murders or just about him, then he was willing to tell the officers anything they wanted to know. The main police officer that interrogated Menhaz described him as one of the 4 mass murderers called the Family Annihilator. And what makes them different from the other types is their narcissism. On September 24th, 2019, Menhaz's trial began. Menhaz was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. This was one of those cases where the prosecutors had just so much physical and circumstantial evidence to where there was no chance for Menhaz to plead guilty. Menhaz did plead guilty, but he pleaded guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of second-degree murder. Apparently, Menhaz was never planning on killing his mom. This made no sense to me because all of the evidence in his comments about wanting to kill his family mentioned his mom. So that definitely shows it was premeditated. And I'm just saying, if he really wanted to keep his mom alive and kill the others, he could have killed everyone on a day where his mother wasn't home. But he didn't. Menhaz was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years for the murder of his grandma, sister, and dad, and an additional life sentence with no chance of parole for 15 years for the murder of his mom. So no parole for basically 40 years. Menhaz will be 64 years old when he is eligible for parole, which means he has a chance to relish freedom. The judge had also made Menhaz submit his DNA to a registry so that if he were ever to get released on parole, he will have a 10-year weapon ban placed on him. Some of you probably are wondering if the death penalty was ever an option for this case, and I'm here to tell you that it has not, because Canada does not have the death penalty policy, and it hasn't since the 1990s. Even without the death penalty, I just don't understand why the judge couldn't just sentence him to life. Like, why did he have to give him the chance of getting freedom in the future? The evidence clearly showed that this was premeditated. He literally had this planned for 3 years. Like, hello? In my opinion, I don't think Menhaz should have had the right to see the light of day ever again. I don't think he deserves to get parole after 40 years for killing 4 people. And only 10 years for a weapon ban? He should have had that ban for the rest of his life with the 40-year parole thing he gets. Not just 10 fucking years. So I couldn't find where Menhaz is serving his sentence, but I did find that Menhaz has joined the notorious list of multiple murderers across Canada who have been sentenced to serve more than 25 years before they are eligible for parole. Alrighty guys, that's all I have for you on today's case. I would love to hear your thoughts on the case in the comments section. I'll be back soon to talk about another case with you all, but until then, I hope you all have a good day or night. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.